and welcome to the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. With 4 race starts, we're going to start with our Category 4 riders, then 3, 2 and 1. Our riders lined up in yellow, that is our Category 1 riders. In green, our Category 2. In blue, Category 3. And Category 4 in red. The chasing riders at the moment not looking to close down Rona. Rona's topping out a good pace here. That's it, just under 5 watts per kilo, getting an early lead potentially into that climb. Fua and Bruni are up the road by 30 seconds, and that really does put the pressure on everybody else to chase Amelia Veld. While she can sit here and just play her own game here, she knows she's got 2 leaders up the front. If the status quo was to be maintained, they would be in with that team prize win, but anything can happen, and you only need a rider to blow. 30 seconds will disappear in the blink of an eye. Our 4 riders are very different here. One thing's uniting, the amount of pain on this climb, how hard they're having to work to climb up this hillside here. So you can see the Category of 3 riders are now at the front of the race.
Idzik now pushes, Idzik now goes, Hamilton pushes hard on her wheel, Hamilton pushes, can Hamilton come over the top of Idzik? That's the banner, Hamilton's going to take this from Idzik, Kristen Hamilton takes it from Natalia Idzik.
Idzik, is the prediction going to be right? Will it be Idzik? The response has come from Vic and Francis, but I think they've got no response that will halt the progress of Idzik. Natalia Idzik takes away the win in Category 4, the first rider across the line in qualifier race number 2 on the Sunday race.
Rosa Herrera, though, is having none of it. She wants back on. The gradient has flattened. She knows the finish line is coming. That's the UCI ban around the corner. Can Herrera catch Simkin? Will Simkin stay clear? Melissa Simkin is your winner in Category 3.
Vink accelerates up. She doesn't want to get caught napping. Bago's coming, chasing behind. She's trying to keep clear of Idzik. She's trying to pull the gap back down again, but Ella Vink is going to take the victory here. Qualifier race number 4, 4th Gat. It is a win today. Ella Vink takes the win here. What a ride there. She's opened the gap up. Gina Van Rossum is going to surely take away the victory. She continues to pound those pedals. She can't relax. It's going to be a win in a Category 3, a win overall over the line for Gina Van Rossum on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club, the monthly final. So hello and welcome to the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. My name is Matt Payne. I'm going to be bringing you all of the race action here. And I am back in the studio, returned from the World Championships with Emma Martin. Emma, it's good to have you back. It was a really busy time when you were out there.
Oh, it was amazing, but it is so good to be back. And I cannot believe I missed the monthly final when you raced that course in Zurich.
It was quite surreal having you in Zurich commentating on the Para Worlds and me in the studio commentating on MyWhoosh was but 2 fantastic UCI races to race partners. We're going to miss a lot drier, a lot hotter and a lot different.
Well, the women today are in Alula on the Heritage Climb, and this is one we've not visited a lot. 35 kilometres of racing, 542 metres of climbing, and they come out the start pen and there's a blip. You can see the blip, but it is important because it will split the group. And then we have the long run to the 13.3 kilometre mark of the Heritage Climb. 3 sprints along the way. The Heritage Climb, 5.9 kilometres with an average gradient of 5.7%. Then a technical descent off the other side. 2 sprints into that 31.4 kilometre marker when the Al Fakar Hills really will decide the winners in this race today.
And the climb section's important because of the race action. They are awarding points in there for the King of the Mountains. Got points for the sprints, but the key thing is who's going to come over that line first. 4 race categories, 5 minutes between each of our race categories. Categories 1, 2, 3 and 4. And our Category 4 riders will be the first away. They're going to be our first field heading out onto the race route. The Petit Four squad are back once again with Nikki Lloyd, with Simone Francis. So we have the United Kingdom and Australia represented on that Petit Four squad. Regular riders on the MyWhoosh platform out and riding. Let's see what they can do today. Riding in qualifier race number 1 of the Sunday Race Club here on MyWhoosh. The clock ticks down and we are away, heading out on to the roads of Alula. Now, Emma, start sheets.
Yes.
Big numbers.
Yes.
And lots of movement in category as well. So as our category 4 head out, let's focus on our category 4 riders first of all. In here, we have got some really, really strong riders. It is our standard category, but there's nothing standard about them. The performances are amazing, and we are seeing lots of progression.
We are indeed. So let me just say 129 women on the start sheets today across the 4 race categories, 34 of those in category 4. It's not the biggest category, but as you say, Matt, some really great riders and racers in here. Simone Francis, who you've already mentioned from the Petit Four squad, took 5th place in the final last week. Alzat is here. She took 2nd. Hannah Goodall, who took 1st, is in here today. So is Katie Bago. She was also on the podium. But from Alcarbi, Tanglian, Smithson, Alvarez, Sonnerson, Kirchner, Bogren, Bremner, Tejeros, Garcia. It is a packed field. One rider to note, really, Natalia Idzik. She was dominant last month. She took a number of wins in this race category. She's moved up to category 3, so really, really good to see her progressing.
She really has progressed, and that movement up showing that improvement. Now the riders are about to head on up. This is that blip, the first climb on the course, first climb of the day, always the toughest climb of the day. As regular viewers will know, my dad used to drill that into me, that the first climb is always the hardest, and I have to agree. It's one where you're not necessarily got your climbing legs into gear. Just seeing one rider dropped off the back of the group. For anybody new to MyWhoosh and to the Sunday Race Club, welcome. It's great to have you here. We get to see our riders in person. Anna Valencia on the left of your screen and climbing nicely in the group. So we are going to see how she's going on. Currently sitting in 3rd place. There, Isabel Alzate has got 4. When you've got 4 names, we can pick 2 of them to get on the screen.
Well, she finished 2nd last week. She can use any mix of names she likes because she's a really, really strong rider and a strong racer, and it's great to see her in the mix.
On your screen now, when we're on our big screen, you can see the left-hand side, that radar view, and you can see that the group is stretching out in terms of dots, each dot representing a rider. You can see that on your main screen, the avatars, each avatar, one rider riding in their pain cave, wherever that is in the world. You can see that we're watching Isabel Alzate here, just pushing the pace up on the front. Above Isabel Alzate's name, you can see the distance covered. You can see the power in watts, the power to weight. That's the watts per kilo. You can see the time, the heart rate, and the cadence. That's the pedal revs, how many times turning the pedals around per minute. The watt number is the key number because that tells us also whether the riders are in the draft or they are on the front breaking through the breeze that's blowing down through Alula at the moment as they continue to motor on. If you're hiding, it will be a number in green. And then right-hand side, you have the course profile, you have the riders' numbers, and you also have the zone the riders are in. Now, just going to jump in with Annalyn Tejeros here, Emma. A very strong rider, really powerful, always up in the mix.
Yeah, she is indeed, and it's always good to see her. And she is in the mix at the moment. She's in that 2nd group. So Alza out front. Then we have a group of riders here, and it's a tight group. You can see in there Bago, Francis, Pila, Sonnerson, Fielder, Narvaez. Tejeros is in there as well. But the gaps, I know I said it was a blip on the course, and it is a blip that has done damage.
It is, and we've got to remember, of course, because we've got the big climb that comes in the middle, the scale of that climb dwarfs everything else, and it makes that initial blip look nothing. But it isn't. It really is tough stuff. And you can see the gap that's opened up. 16 riders in the leading group. 1 rider behind us, Carla Lenore. Then we've got Solizano at 6 seconds with Tangulon. Then Flores. Then Elisa Kirchner. A real spread of riders down the road.
Well, and this is difficult for Carla Lenore because she needs to either get on the group or sit up and wait.
Well, we'll have to see what happens to Carla Lenore as we go back to Category 4 in a little while. First of all, let's have a quick look at our team. The Grand My Gear squad, Angel Ann Hadlock, Novelin Kokona, Stefani Piccolo, and Tanya Howeiler are here once again. Golden Light representing Team Golden Light and a real strong stretch of riders in Category 3. We're getting ready to start. We're in with Gina Van Rossum, the winner of our finals last week. It's time to go racing on the Sunday Race Club. Qualifier race number 1, Category 3 are away.
Well, Category 3 leaves the start pen, and look at the size of that race field. 37 riders on the start sheets today, and this is indeed our biggest race field, but only just because Category 4 and Category 2 are very, very close behind in terms of numbers. But Van Rossum in the mix, taking that win in the finals last week. Melissa Simpkin was second. She's had a number of wins last month. Rebecca Johnson again doing very, very well, and Takova finishing and rounding up that podium with 5th place. Now, we mentioned Natalia Idzik has come up to this category. You can see her there in the pack. She's right on the back of that group, so nicely mixed in, taking the draft, which is absolutely fantastic to see. Now, one of the things I want to say is last time we were on this course, the Grind My Gears squad of Hadlock, Kekkonen and Piccolo were all right up the top.
Yep.
So the question is, can they grind their gears today?
I think it's inevitable with that climb, but you've got to be able to also push that downhill. Now we're just in with Gina Van Rossum here. So in Gina's pain cave there, and you can see looking pretty comfy here, just tapping out a rhythm as she continues to move through quite a Spartan pain cave.
Well,
it's very focused.
But you know what I love? So Van Rossum's pain cave, she is, of course, a rider from the Netherlands, has the obligatory orange by the side.
Indeed, and have to say, we were looking at putting the words to the action to the UCI Gravel World Championships yesterday in the women's event. No spoilers. No spoilers, Emma.
It's a great race. Just go watch it.
But let's just say there's rather a lot of orange.
There's a lot of
in
orange
action, in key positions.
throughout the entire race field.
They have strength in depth in the Netherlands. Gina Van Rossum, one of those riders. Now, of course, we have riders from out and around the globe. Jennifer Ellos in the mix. Stefani Piccolo from Brazil, so the South American continent represented here as well. Now, pretty much all the way from the entirety of the planet.
It is indeed, and that representation around the globe really, really strong, which is fabulous to see. Now, one of the things that is also fabulous to see is the blip has not caused as much damage to the Category 3 race field as it did to the Category 4.
They went over it without a blip, basically.
They did go over it without a blip, and well, that could be down to strength and depth in terms of the race field, but also in terms of the fact that this is a much steadier and more sedate pace at the front of this. Remember, Alzat had gone off the front of the Category 4 race, and she had pushed the pace, which has also caused that race field to split.
And at the moment, Alze, at the moment in the leading group, just coming in towards our sprint segment. The sprint segments, they are points that are awarded. There's no prize money as such. So it is about bragging rights. It's about the honour of wearing the green skin suit. The green skin suit awarded to the competitor, the rider, who amasses the most points. So sprint number 1, it'll be the fastest rider through, and it is the fastest time through the segment, not the first across the line, which is what you would see if you're watching, say, a Grand Tour. It would be about the first rider across the line. Here, it is the fastest time through the segment. So you could find that a chasing rider has a faster time, and it does give us a great snapshot on what is happening in that race field and who is doing how much work, whether they're closing or whether they're losing time in that short segment.
It does indeed, but it also, we quite often see riders who have been dropped and not able to go with the leading group, then changing their strategy and using the sprints as training during the race.
Indeed, and I think that could be one of the reasons to go. And another reason is, of course, that the riders might want to put in an attack, and they disguise it by using the sprint as a disguise. And we see that on plenty of occasions. Well, whilst the Land Rovers or the Toyota Land Cruisers head off into the desert, other four-wheel drive vehicles are available. We're going to jump across from Category 4 and 3 to Category 2, our penultimate race, Category 2 go. We're in with German Prado at the moment. Good to see the Sunday crew represented. Their team captain today is Elrika Harmsen. We're going to be taking them out, the South African rider in the mix. Got to say, this is going to be a really interesting race, not least of which is because we have 3 riders who've already been on a podium this week with
Well, the question
Kim
is,
Bonner-Miller ahead of German Prado and Angelica Altamirano, all amazing riders.
I
We're
was
in
about
with
to
Prado.
say, I wondered whether they would be here, but the riders from the Philippines are indeed here, and they've been phenomenal out on the road this week on a stage race. So congratulations to them for that phenomenal racing outdoors, and thank you very much for joining us today.
Yeah, definitely. Whitewash the podium, positions 1, 2, and 3 on the stage. All 3 riders, regulars on the Sunday race club. All 3 riders in category 2, all 3 riding, and we regularly get to see them. And hopefully we'll be able to see whether they're looking a little bit tired after their efforts in the week. I'm hoping not, because they always animate the racing, but there's a lot of riders that do that in category 2.
There are indeed. Category 2 is absolutely a hotspot of great racing. But if you want to know what your favourite MyWhoosh riders are up to, most of these riders are on social media. You can follow them on Instagram and you can see what they're doing out on the road or on the mountain bikes, or what they are doing on esports, because a lot of these riders are also esports specialists.
And don't forget, of course, we love to hear what you're up to. So if you're watching this and you're thinking, oh, I race on the Sunday Race Club, I ride, we would love to know what you get up to. They're absolute addicts here in the commentary box for all things cycling. So whether you're riding a gravel race, a mountain bike race, an esports race, whatever you're riding, we'd love to know. Of course, if you're a Sunday Race Club rider, then we're going to pay particular attention to what you're getting up to, because it can give us a little indication of who's on form, maybe who's going to be just a little bit more fatigued, and all of these factors play into the racing. Now, category 2 are really ripping it up on this climb here. You can see an attack going off the front at the moment. That is a real serious pace being set by Lam Kong. Lam Kong, one of the most, I'm going to use a word that is not a word I absolutely detest, winningest.
Winningest?
The rider who regularly puts themselves in a winning and podium position, Lam Kong, absolutely brilliant competitor, great racer, and somebody who regularly animates the racing and makes it hard for people. And we're seeing riders go off the back already. Emma, very quickly, because we've probably got about a minute and a half to do this, run me through those top riders in category 2. I know it's a bit like reading the phone book and you can read all of the names out. Pick, let's do it first of all empirically by those who've been up there in the results, and then those who you've got an inkling maybe up there today.
Well, 33 riders on the start sheets in category 2 today. First of all, I'm going to say Aileen Francisco de Silva has come up from category 3. That is going to be really, really interesting, and it's lovely to see her progress because she's been very strong. Altamirano is here. Svardström is here. Svardström took the win last week. Dana Wagner is always really, really strong, and this is a type of course that will suit her. Davidson is here. Giannatti is going to go well today. In fact, look at that. Dana Wagner pops up on the screen as we talk about her. Prado, Montgomery, Walkenhurst, Bonilla, Tokarnos, Smithers is here. Philippa Hill is here. London, Vittorio go well today, because for me, this is a real climber's course and she is so strong. Stefania Sanchez is here. Asulia Kasani, I think, may go well today. And you can never, ever discount Wendy McAlpine.
Lots of great riders all in the mix in category 2. They're on the left of your screen. 1 or 2 riders just being distanced in the early stages. Category 3 on the right-hand side with Karolina Ciezykowicz currently on the move here. Just saw her push up 5 watts a kilo to go across to the wheels of Gina Di Grazia. Gina Di Grazia, a rider who we know is always going to be giving it absolutely everything, and always giving her best into the racing. So at the moment, De Grazia went down the road. We've seen an answer from Karolina Ciezykowicz on this little bit of a descent. We're going to go up onto a slight ascent. You can see Ciezykowicz on the left-hand side of your screen there, just focused in on the race screen. So taking a quick check on the rider and the avatar as they make their way down on this course. So great to jump in with our riders. One of the great things we get to see the expression on people's faces when they're putting in that effort.
That is so true. But Ciezykowicz at the moment putting in the effort here, and she's just taking a lead on this category 3 group and stretching the pack. Now, that category 3 race field had been a lot steadier out of the gun. Interesting to see what category 1 do.
Category 1, our last group of riders to leave the start pens. Now our teams. Outlook International with Tiffany Penner, Maria Holcroft and Mika Soderstrom. The Chill Out crew. Charlotte Colclough, Gabriela Guerra. We've got the Effeta Skier Squad, Joanna Kalman. We've got peak performers, Amelia Van Hove, Kristen Kolczynski, Stephanie Sidlick, and the Sweat Sensations, Amelia Velt, Catherine Fuhr, Merle Bruni, and Mina Coiston. Now, that's about 50% of the race field. We'll go through all of our riders in terms of performances, who's likely to start here today as we head out onto the course. It is the Sunday Race Club on MyWhoosh, the UCI's esports partner for 2024, 25 and 26 key sponsors of those road championships. And of course, a home to lots of great training, racing and rides as well. So, time to see who is going to do the business here today out on course. As I said, about 50% of the riders in teams today. You've heard the riders in the Ablock International Chill Out Crew, Effeta Skier Peak Performance and Sweat Sensations. Emma, run us through the riders that have caught your eye, particularly with reference to this course.
Well, that's a good question. So obviously, Fuhr, phenomenal racing, and she's just been on such strong form. This is a course that really suits her. Might also suit McCarthy, so that's also interesting. And Kolczynski, this for me is going to be who goes up over the top of that first heritage climb together, and can they stay together? Because if they stay together at the top, it's then all going to come down to those rolling hills and the timing of that attack. Now, Soderstrom strong last week, finishing 5th in the final. Merle Bruni really on form as well, 3rd. And Cornelia Engström in here as well. Joanna Tidholm had a good race last week in Zurich. So it's going to be interesting to see. Now, can I just say, alongside the phenomenal race performances, there's some lovely name alliteration.
Oh, here we go.
In this group.
Spot the professor.
Kristen Kolczynski, Stephanie Sidlick, Gabby Guerra, Charlotte Colclough.
Okay.
I love it.
Can we have the dictionary definition of alliteration?
Alliteration is when several words start with the same letter and produce the same sound.
So alliterations. So that would be something like, my neighbours are not normally noisy.
Exactly.
Or nosy.
Carolina Kolkowitz. There's many of them in here. It's just
Okay.
brilliant.
Okay.
Not by design or by fault, but thank you very much, ladies, for your names.
So that is your school lesson for the day done with Professor Emma. She really is a professor as well, although she doesn't like us to tell you that. But Emma, indeed, a professor. So always in the stats and always correcting the grammar, particularly if I write any notes in the office and leave them lying around. They get corrected in a big red pen.
Well, actually, we tend to put, commas in sentences and things for you.
Yes, my grammar is not particularly good.
Anyway, let's get back to the racing, because this pack, they've come up and over the top of the blip that is so early on this course. You see 1 or 2 riders just distance off the back, and you can see that on the bottom left-hand corner of your screen, that graphic, perfect for showing you what is happening to the pack in the racing. But now, a very, very steady pace on this Category 1 group, and the riders very content just to have an easier start here. So Soderstrom, Manshandi, Velt, Eck, Van Shaw, all in here. Hermansen, Penner. And can I just give a big shout out to Lisa Hermansen? I met her in Zurich.
Okay,
It was fabulous.
Okay, so whilst the racing is relatively contained and before our first riders hit the main climb, let's talk about Zurich, because MyWhoosh had a big stand and a big presence in Zurich. And whilst I saw it on social media, you were physically there in person, and there was a lot of the team from MyWhoosh there.
There was, and in fact, it was fabulous because I got to go and see them in person. All these people I've spoken to for the last 2 years all watched race because Lisa Hermansen was indeed on the stand for the first few days. And I did indeed go and have a lovely chat with Lisa while she was demonstrating the MyWhoosh product to the public.
So all the sort of the key names and a lot of the big guys really, in terms of people like Matt Smithson who designed the race routes in terms of the World Championship finals. And I mean, he's a real Sunday Race Club addict. He loves racing it. People like Cy Bradley, Bob Van den Dries.
You're just name dropping now.
What was for me was really important about it. Yeah, it might be name dropping, but these are the names that go and actually meet the public. It's not some nameless, faceless corporation.
And can I just tell you,
they're out on racing, and they were there talking to everybody.
They were indeed, and the stand was really, really busy. I mean, they were there from the start of the competition in Zurich to the end of the competition in Zurich. Catherine Fuhr, one of the locals to Zurich. I know she too went down to the MyWhoosh stand and met the team there as well. And I know she met Lisa too, and that is fabulous. It must be absolutely great for two riders who race together on a platform and live in two different countries to be able to come together at that event. Catherine Fuhr also there watching her sister. I got the absolute honour to commentate on another Fuhr. So I have
commentated on two Fuhrs.
I have indeed, and Catherine's sister Sandra took a bronze medal and a podium position in the road race.
Well, they'll be looking to get 2 World Championship medals, I'm sure, this year. Catherine Fuhr, one of the hot favourites for the finals in Abu Dhabi. That's coming up at the end of this month in October. In fact, the day before our Sunday Race Club finals, you've seen Catherine Fuhr's stats. You can now see Catherine Fuhr in person. Morning, Catherine, because it is indeed morning in Switzerland at the moment. Catherine Fuhr in this group, tapping away, just making sure she stays in contention at the moment. A rider, for me, Catherine Fuhr is a rider who really knows how to target her performance and her pace. And I do often wonder how much crossover there is, because we saw that as well with her sister racing, and the crossover between racing on one, knowing when to use your power, when to use your pace, when to sit in, when to move, when to attack, and when to use your skills, I thought was replicated across both riders, both Fuhrs. Well, and that must be really, I think helpful.
Knowing your strengths, absolutely key. And that is really, a key part of racing and a key part of tactics and strategy. And we saw that every single day in Zurich at the paracycling. Tactics and strategy and executing it, absolutely crucial to winning those races. And knowing your strengths and embedding them into that strategy, a really, really key component of racing. Well, Tanja Hollweiler is on our screen at the moment. She's in the mix in that category 3-pack, and boy, is that a big group of racers.
So category 3, the second of our groups to set off from race start from those pens, chasing category 4 leaders. The category 3 leaders at the moment at 10.3 kilometres of our 35-kilometre course today. A quick reminder for you that the climb comes at 13.3 kilometres, and that is when we hit today's big climb. It is a monster. It is not one gradient all the way up. There are dips and rises on the way through that will test the riders. Category 4 should be the first group of leaders to hit that climb, followed by 3, 2, and 1. They won't necessarily be in that order, though, when we hit the second of our climb segments, and that is the rolling hills, the Al Fakir hills, just on the run into the finish, but they are mere ripples in comparison to the immense bulk of the climb today. The heritage climb is a monumental climb in comparison. It is of big scale, it's of big gradients, and it is going to put some big performances down, I'm sure, from our riders.
Should we talk a little bit about the heritage climb? Because at that 13.3 kilometre marker, the riders come in to the heritage climb, and whilst the average gradient for the 5.9 kilometres is 5.7%, there are so many short, sharp, steep kickers on it, and topping 16% within the first third of the ride. While the Valley of the Tomb sprint on the way into the heritage climb, and Lam Kong category 2 saying the fastest time through there, 22 seconds, 22.9, clear of Gina de Gracia, who sets the fastest time in category 3. And then you can see it's the rest of the category 2 field coming through there.
And really interesting that with category 2 riders having those fastest times, with category 3 rider de Grazia, category 1 rolling at the moment. I think there's a lot of people saving that energy for the main climb. And this is what, when we said earlier and talked about the snapshot that this gives us, that's what it's telling us. It's telling us category 1 are taking it steady, category 2 are going that bit quicker because they're going faster. Category 3 are right up in the mix because they are scattered all the way through there as well. Category 4, though, they're onto the climb, and their mind is now focused on the climb. You saw them go through that polka dot banner that indicates the start of each of our climb segments. There's a polka dot banner at the end of each climb segment as well. The times will come up for those through there, points being awarded as well. it's going to be a very quick run up if the very early slopes are anything to go by. At the moment, Narvis and Sarasu already on the attack here. There's Funachiko and Sarasu on the move at the front of this group. The behind, you can see those red chevrons indicating the riders are going into zones 5 and 6.
Now, I'll tell you
really
something.
showing.
Sarasu, a really strong climber, and this could really suit her well, this course. And we saw her in the GCC Championships earlier on this year, really pushing on those climbs and taking that Queen of the Mountains competition.
Indeed, and a rider I think who's really suited with this climb. It's not a simple climb. You'll see on your screens the twists, the turns, the undulations, the rise, the fall, and then really quick, particularly in the midsection of the climb. So as we go up, we start to ascend the first section. It's relatively a standard gradient, but then as the road hugs the side of the mountain, the second third of this climb really does roll. You've got downhill sections in there, you've got uphill steep sections in there, and then the last third of it gets steep and just really is a long drag as we go on to the very top of the mountain. So when we're hugging and the mountain, so going around the twists and turns, that's when we're going to get these real undulations, and that is where you've got to be able to change your pace and your modulation. That cadence is critical.
Also, you have to take every single opportunity available to you for a micro rest on this climb, because it is constantly about digging in and digging in. There are some small flat sections, there are some small downhill sections, and the ability to recover and drop your heart rate even only a little bit will be of benefit to you on this climb. Now, the other thing you've also got to do is think about the fact that at the top of this climb, at 19.2 kilometers, which is where the top here is of the heritage climb, you've got to treat that like the finish point. And I know I say that regularly, but you really, really do. Because if you are not there at that 19.2 kilometre mark, you do not stand a chance of being there at the 35 kilometre mark.
Okay, so Category 4 onto the climb, just about to hit the rolling section. Category 3 leaders on the way into the climb. Here comes the polka dot banner. Rebecca Johnson tucked in with this leading group, really tapping out a great rhythm here today. You can see those pedal revs sitting at 87 here, looking very much like she's ready to take on this climb. I think psyching yourself up for this climb when you're racing as well, really important. I think you've really got to be ready to go with any move, because it could go at any time. We've seen attacks at the bottom, the middle, the top of this climb, and they've all been race-winning attacks.
And also, Johnson's specialism really is climbing. She really excels on a course with a lot of climbing. She doesn't always go off the front, though. What she tends to do is have her own pace, and she rides the climbs to her own ability, and she paces them beautifully. Often we can see her gapped, but she comes back towards the end of the climb because she gets her pacing right.
That is going to be really critical. Now, another rider who really is improving, and we always see time and time again, Emily Mabin in Australia, or New Zealand, where Emily is, just in that southern hemisphere. Emily Mabin actually a cyclocross rider. So the southern hemisphere at the moment changing into springtime after a cyclocross season. If you were based in the southern hemisphere and you travel to the northern hemisphere,
you could do cyclocross
all year round a bit.
Oh, dream!
It's a lot more expensive doing that though than jumping on MyWhoosh, which of course is for free. You can load that on Android, on Windows, and on iOS, so whatever device you are on, you can jump on board for free and get out and race, get out and ride. And don't forget, of course, they're 24 hours a day, 365 days of the year. Now, Category 1 riders, they train a lot. It's not quite 365 days a year, but I'm sure some of them actually have managed to do that. If you are a rider on the Sunday Race Club and have ever ridden every single day in the year, do get in touch.
Oh, my goodness. People
do
that, don't they? They actually have a target for the year, and that is to ride every single day.
And people do. So if you've done that and you are a rider on Sunday Race Club, let me know. It's at Matt Fixer Pain on Instagram, on Facebook. Let me know if you've been up to that. Now, the next of our sprints is the Alula sprint. It is the second of our sprints here. I think if it's the airport sprint, and that means that the Category 1 riders are through. And again, Category 2 riders with those fastest times going through. We're actually looking to see that the Category 1 have even registered at the moment. They are that far down the rider numbers going in and through. Kong with that fastest time. But you can see not massive gaps. They're there, but they're not huge.
Wow. It is indeed Kong, Giovanni, Giannatti, Sanchez, Yaramillo, Wagner, McAlpine, Svardstrom, Vittori, and Gorea, who are the top 10 through there. Category 1 have all become members of Guerra's Chill Out crew.
It really, it's Guerra's Chill Out crew, is it?
It's Guerra and Coldcloth are indeed part and parcel of the Chill Out crew. That is their team name, but I think they have just recruited every single person in Category 1.
Well, we will see how chilled they are when they go up to the top. I think the lakes will have warmed up and the ice will have melted on the cocktails, and they'll be heading up in to that climb at pace. Now, on the climb, Category 3 and Category 4, the Category 4 leaders at 15.2k. The Category 3 leaders, 14.8, separated by 400 meters. Now, what you've got to remember is these are a very steep 400 meters. They're being covered at a pace of about 15 kilometers an hour for Category 3 at the moment. And because of that, although the distance is not great, that time gap is there.
Well, 7 riders leading this Category 3 race now, and you can see on the bottom left-hand corner of your screen, Category 4 red dots, Category 3 blue dots, just scattered now back down the heritage climb. It is Simkin, Montoya, Holweiler, Hadlock, Vasquez, Johnson, and Piccolo is just off the back of this group. Now, that is a class group of Category 3 climbers.
So Category 3 on the climb, the course, breaking the groups apart, starting to split the race wide open. Category 2 just entering the base of the climb, just having gone through that 13.3 kilometer marker that indicates the start of this 5.9 kilometer climb. We climb up a substantial amount, 333 meters of ascent. The average gradient is utterly immaterial on this climb because the steep slopes, they are into double figures, very comfortably into double figures. However, you've got the dips and the rise. You see here, we're rolling along. We've already done some climbing. We're at 0.9%, but the road rises up in front of the riders. Getting the pace rate really key. Sophie Giovanni in here in Category 2, the Italian rider. On your screens, on the left-hand side in person, the avatar on the right-hand side, window open. Just to get some fresh air in. The fun's blowing in the pain cave. I'm not sure the wind's blowing on the side of the heritage climb in Alula at the moment, but there's certainly some damage being done by the slopes already.
Well, there is indeed. And the Category 2 race field had pushed on quite significantly. We'd seen that through the sprint sections, them setting the fastest times every time through as a pack. So rolling very, very strongly. Julia Montgomery now, a look of concentration on her face. Head down, focus, earphones in. She is absolutely in the zone at the moment, part and parcel of this leading group, and it's a big leading group as they now start to move through the first kicker on the heritage climb. 8.4% this one. It is just a little reminder that you're on the heritage climb. It's going to get steeper. Quickly, though, you can see that gradient drop into a downhill run. So this is what Matt is talking about in terms of the technical nature of the climb. You climb and then you drop. You climb and then look at that, straight back into the next climb. Now, 2 things. 1, riders using those little descents as micro rests. 2, using them as momentum to aid the next section of the climb. And Dorothy Gonzalez Rua on the screen. She is a strong rider who is here regularly on the Sunday Race Club, and she will know about momentum.
She's an absolutely great rider, and I think she's one of these riders. We talk about riders who have that tactical nous we were talking about, and I think she's one of those riders who's got that. She's also a rider with a big kick and a good sprint, and I think she can use that on this type of climb. Kasani just at the head of the race, more of a rider who puts in a pace, sits and taps a rhythm. Gonzalez, a kick and a rest more. But somebody like Vittori, she's definitely a long climb, steep climber.
Yeah,
she's a proper climber. And what I like about this climb is it really mixes it up. The type of rider who can take this on. Kasani, Gonzalez, Rua. If you're a sprinter, you're a climber, Vittori, the lot. Everybody has a good chance on this climb if they ride and race to your strengths. That is what you've got to do.
I think this is a good course for Kasani, actually. look at that. She's up and out the saddle. She's still got a really strong cadence there on this climb, and it's very steep. It's 11% at the moment. So really good to see. And one of the things that, we have dropped riders off the back of this category 2 pack, but there's a lot of riders still here.
The more we drop off, the less riders in contention, the easier it is, or the better the odds are. Anyway, I'm not sure it's ever easy to take away a win, to take away a top 5 position. Of course, those are key because those are where the prizes will be allocated to. The top 5 positions are the key positions here today, but you've got to be in it to win it. And as Emma says, you've got to treat the summit as your finish. I like to call them selection points because that is where a selection of riders is made. Trigger points, places where you're going to attack, where you're going to instigate and move in the racing. Selection points, if you're going to watch the Sunday Race Club regularly, we hope you will, and you're going to hit that subscribe button, you'll hear me talking about selection points as well. Selection point is where a selection is made at the top of that climb. If you're not in it, you're not going to win it. You've got to be with that lead group. That you do need to treat it like your finish line. Emma is totally correct there, but it is about making sure you're in at that selection point in contention. Category 3 are heading up on to the upper slopes. They're about 2/3 of the way up, and they're about to hit the upper slopes here. They're motoring.
Well, they were 7. They're now 6. One rider has been dropped off the back of the group. So Hadlock, Holweiler, Simkin, Johnson, Vasquez and Montoya, the 6 riders now in this leading group. And we've lost one on the climb.
I know I keep on saying this. I want some sound effects. So when Emma goes, we had 7. Dum, dum, dum.
It's Stefani Piccolo.
We've now got 6. Dum, dum, dum.
Now that is surprising. But, you never know what's going to happen. You cannot be on top form week in, week out, all around the year.
No, and form really does vary. Form doesn't vary so much. Class is permanent, form is temporary. Form is one of those things. I like that
phrase.
Well, it's true. Class is permanent and form is temporary. Form comes and goes. And sometimes it can be no rhyme or reason. You only need to have a tough day at work, and the following week you're riding like an absolute bag of spanners. And that is just, and it's such little things that it can hinge on. And having that form, if you've built up the training, you've got the form, it's all rolling right, it can go. And it can go for the strangest of reasons. We never ever know. You've got to remember there's so many different people at different ages, different places in the world, in their careers, in their lives. It makes a big difference.
Well, category 4, the furthest up the climb at the moment, and it's a leading group of 3, is Bago, Sonnerson and Tejeros. They are at the head of the race at the moment.
Category 3 riders continue to push, as do Category 2. Category 1, though, now into the climb through the polka dot banner and hitting the slopes of the Heritage Climb here in Alula, home of the Gravel World Championships in 2027 or 29, I think.
27 or 29, you think?
I think, yeah, 2027. It's not next year.
No, it's not next year.
But it is on the calendar and it has been awarded. So if you want, now is the time to get training on MyWhoosh. Train your riding.
Would you like me to tell you when it actually is?
Well, you can do, yes.
2028.
Well, it's close, wasn't it? I went either side.
So the Gravel World Championships are actually in Alula in 2028.
So get on to MyWhoosh, get your training in, and get qualified for 2028, and we'll see you at those championships one way or another. Well, we'll see you. You might not see us. Joanna Kalman on the climb here, just sitting at the back of this group, just tapping the rhythm now, starting to wind it up, sitting in the group. Selection will be made at the top of this climb, and you've got to be in it at that select point. It's very difficult to chase back on. We do see riders making contact on the descent. However, the effort it takes very often is enough to do damage. The leaders at the moment stretching this out. Big group on the front, really winding it up. Riders being distanced. The attrition has started. The riders are starting to be distanced. Big efforts being made to get back in onto the wheels here. Look at the kick coming in. We are seeing big watts per kilo numbers coming out of the riders just to stay in with this group. We're currently in with Gabby Guerra as we go over the top of that climb section into the descent, and then it kicks again. McCarthy's in here. Now, this is a rider. When we talk about form and we talk about class, McCarthy has both.
Well, and she's on form at the moment. Now, I'm really surprised because the rider getting distance off the back is Emma Belforce. Belfast. Now, earlier on this year, Belfast was on phenomenal form and taking the win on the Sunday Race Cup. Now we see other riders on form. Fuhr, Kolchinsky, Columbi, Guerra, Tidholm are all at the front of this group at the moment and riding very strongly. Columbi is here as well. Now, she is a great climber. Look at that concentration on her face.
That is a proper race face. That's a proper race rider. Absolutely digging, making sure they're in position. You can see that the pace is on, the speed is up very quickly over the top. And one of the key things for me is when riders go over the top of a rise and they drop down, they keep the pace on. We're seeing Van Hove being distanced here. We're seeing Jenny Eck be distanced.
Holdcroft has been distanced too.
You've got Holcroft being distanced. My goodness, this is absolute carnage on the slopes as these riders continue to wind up on the front. Korchinski, Kokolowicz, Tidholm in there, Penner in there. Penner, a rider who I think is timing her
Tiffany
form
Penner
really
is getting
well.
better and better at the moment. It really is fabulous to see the Ablock International rider getting stronger and stronger.
A real advocate of going down the gym as well and doing weights in conjunction with riding on MyWhoosh to get that power, to get the performance out there. And it's really, really key to get that program right.
Well, it is, but not only strength work, flexibility as well. Absolutely core and crucial.
Yep, make sure you're that rounded package. It's not good having the biggest engine if the wheels are going to fall off the first time you put your foot on the throttle. So up on to the climb go our leaders in category 1, right the way through the first set of slopes on the lower third, and already midway through pretty much the second third of this climb. They're absolutely rocketing the way up here. Let's go back across to the very front of the race.
Well, we are indeed. And at the front of the race, the Category 3 leaders are climbing so strongly. They are coming up to the leading group in the Category 4 race field. So Hadlock, Johnson, Simkin, Holweiler and Vasquez, the leading group in Category 3, have now worked their way up to 4th position on the road. Let's just bear in mind the Category 4 race field started 5 minutes before the Category 3 race field. There are just the 3 leading riders on the road now. The 3 riders leading Category 4 ahead of the leading group in Category 3. So as the riders push on here, we're in with Hadlock, and you can see the effort going in for her to stay in this group and to stay at the front. Angel Hadlock working so hard. So Johnson, Simkin, Hadlock, Vasquez, Holweiler now not being able to stay with the pace of this leading group of Category 3 racers. We had 7, they became 6. They are now about to become 4. So Johnson, Hadlock, Simkin and Vasquez continue to drive up the climb here. Tanya Holweiler pushing really deep at the back of the group, wanting to close it down. She is indeed coming back to the group, but the elastic, well, it's 10% on the climb at the moment, and the elastic to the group may well be about to snap, but she is absolutely working to stay with this group. The group ahead, the 3 red jerseys, that's Sonnerson, Tijeros and Bago, the 3 leaders in the Category 4 race. Katie Bago, Emma Sonnerson, Annalyn Tijeros, phenomenal job at the moment on the climb. They're at 18.1 kilometres. They've got 1 kilometre of climbing to go before they see the top of the Heritage Climb. They have stayed out nearly all the way here for 18 kilometres clear of the Category 3 race. But the strength of the climbers in the Category 3 pack just too strong for the Category 4 riders to stay clear. So Rebecca Johnson, the first rider to go past the leaders in the Category 4 race field. Bago not wanting to let it go. The 2 riders from Great Britain, Katie Bago in Category 4, Rebecca Johnson in Category 3, switching the lead because, well, Bago's like, how long can I hang on? This could be an opportunity for me to go clear of Tijeros and Sonnerson. So Katie Bago digs in. She just wants a gap. If she can get the gap by hanging on to the Category 3 riders, she is going to give herself an opportunity to ride away. But Annalyn Tijeros, nope, Bago, you are not doing it. We are coming back. So Tijeros and Sonnerson digging in deep to come back to Katie Bago. This race at the front, at the head of the race, category 3, category 4, absolutely digging deep at the moment, and everybody giving it their all. Well, as well as the category 3 and category 4 riders battle it out on the slopes of the Heritage Climb. At the bottom of the Heritage Climb, the category 1 riders, well, it's not quite the bottom, but it is lower down the slopes. They've gone through one of the really steep kicker sections onto the roll down and then onto the next climb. So category 1 on the left-hand side of your screen, 16.8 kilometres. It's a small group. Fua, Bruni, Guerra, McCarthy and Columbi. Kolchinsky is there as well. That again is an absolute select group of racers on form. On the right hand side of your screen at 18.2 kilometres, that's the leading group in the category 2 race. 4 riders: Nelly Larson, Marine Moj, Sophie Giovanni and Dana Wagner.
It's brutal out there today, isn't it?
It is absolutely brutal. And this climb really being instrumental in the selections here. But we're seeing strong groups ride away.
It produces that discourse. I really love that. I really think this is great. I mean, having that big hill in the middle, really key. The riders working hard at the moment, certainly looking strong. Let's see how they are racing as we make our way up the climb. Now, let's bring you the riders who are in the mix and what they're racing for, because they are out racing today for prizes, and we have some great prizes on MyWhoosh on the Sunday Race Club in all of our categories. They're equal in the men's and women's categories. Today we are in the qualifier races, so the right hand side of your screen, as you can see, first to fifth, 2,160 AED down to 432 AED for fifth place. Monthly finals, well, the team classification comes into play, and you can see big prizes for those teams of 3 to 5 riders. Category 4 is our standard category. Every time we move up a category, we move up in terms of prize value. So in AED, the UAE currency, we move up to 3,600 AED for first place, down to 720 AED for fifth position. And obviously the team prize increases as well on our monthly final too. When we move to category 2, our penultimate categories, we move our way up through the categories up to 6,000 AED for the win, right the way through to 1,200 AED for fifth. The team prize moving up substantially as well, 30,000 AED. That's 10,000 if you have a team of 3 each. That's my maths done for the day. More about that in a moment. As we move up from category 2 to category 1, well, there's no prizes on offer for you for guessing that we go up to our biggest prize pot. So the team classification jumping up, as does the individual classification, which is the qualifier race one that counts. Fifth place, 2,000 AED. Fourth place, 4,000 AED. Third place, 6,000 AED. Second place, 8,000 AED. And first place, a whole 10,000 AED, the currency of the UAE. Now, if you are lucky enough to go to the UAE, then you, of course, could spend your AED there. But not everybody is lucky enough to go to the UAE, although Emma and myself are going to be there for the live finals.
Can't wait.
I can't wait either. Fortunately for you, we do have, by the wonders of modern technology, aka Emma and her calculator, Emma's Exchange.
Yes!
This is Emma's Exchange. This is where Emma tells you what the AED is worth in another country.
Well, shall I tell you what we've gone with this week? So I've gone with the Chill Out crew, because we were talking about the category 1 riders all being part and parcel of the Chill Out crew because of such a steady start today. So Guerra is from Brazil, 10,000 AED in Brazilian real, 14,857 Brazilian real, 10,000 AED if Guerra took the win and wanted it in Brazilian real. Charlotte Colclough, also part of the Chill Out crew, Great Britain, in pounds sterling, 2,074.
And the prices are correct as of this
Emma's
moment
Exchange.
on Emma's Exchange. So We will be back with Emma's Exchange next week. Do join us for that. And gotta say a massive thank you to the team behind the scenes. I didn't say a word. I promise you. An utter surprise to Emma that we've even managed to give her her very own graphic. There you go.
I can't believe I've been away 2 weeks and I come back to graphics.
Well, it actually was ready last week, but I shouldn't tell you that. We kept that secret a long time here at the studios and with the team. So don't forget, of course, we do try and feature around the world. If you would like your currency featuring, if maybe Kate McCarthy wants the currency featuring for her, then guess what? You need to let Emma know at biking_Emma.
I tell you, this woman is a woman on form at the moment. Absolutely phenomenal racing over the last 6 weeks from Mary-Kate McCarthy. She's absolutely brilliant. She's going to be on those start sheets at the World Championship final in Abu Dhabi later this month. But at this point in time, she is leading the Category 1 race on the Heritage Climb.
She's not just leading, she's destroyed the field.
I know, I was just about to say, Mel Bruni, another rider on form at the moment at 35 seconds. Catherine Fua, 45 seconds down on McCarthy at the moment.
The riders at the moment, I mean, I was about to say, I would question the tactics of trying to solo off the front and cause this much damage and leave a big group behind. But the time gap has got so big, this is setting us up for an absolutely fantastic finale.
It is indeed. And there's some real sort of thought at play here, because for me, this isn't just about the Sunday Race Club. This is now also about the World Championship final. There are 14 women on the start sheets today in Category 1 who will be in that World Championship
14 out
quad.
of the 20 riders.
Yep. And McCarthy is one of those. Now, tactically, Mel Bruni is one of those too. So is Guerra. So is Fua. And here is McCarthy saying, right, I am on form. This is about psychological racing and setting up for the October as well. Or are the others saying, do you know what? It doesn't matter. I'm on a training program for October. This is part and parcel of my package to get there. I might not be dominating now, but I'm holding something back because my performance today isn't better than yours because I'm in process for the 26th.
Or is that just damage limitation psychologically that you tell yourself? That's so difficult to tell. Amazing racing. What it is doing, it's setting up for us a big pursuit. Now, I'm going to ask Emma a question, which she's going to hate me for in a moment. Mary-Kate McCarthy is going over the top here solo. We have one chaser behind, then a group. What gap does Mary-Kate McCarthy need to hold a solo ride to the finish, given that we have 15.8k to that finishing line?
Well, good question. I reckon she needs about 40 seconds, which is roughly about what she's got. But it all depends on what's happening behind her.
So you're going 40 seconds? Because
Bruni, Colombi and Guerra are all within 5 or 6 seconds of each other. Now, if these three riders can get together and work together, it's going to be a really interesting challenge because it's a very technical descent. It's not a descent where you can just recover. There are so many kickers on this descent. You need to use momentum and you need to push to get up and through them. And if you have a concerted chase where the riders are working together, it potentially is possible to bring back a lone rider.
So 40 seconds is the gap that Emma stated at the top of the climb. The gap has opened and Mary-Kate McCarthy has gone through in the lead at the top of the climb with Mel Bruni, Gabby Guerra and Celine Colombi. Then we have Catherine Fua and Kristen Kulczynski, and these are big gaps. Now, this is utterly tactical. It is going to be really important for these riders. Who is looking at the end of October? Who is looking at the finish line here today? Who has managed to combine the two? Because some training plans will get riders working hard now and putting in those big efforts. And how long the effort is on the climb. If you stay in the group and then you attack on using a 1 minute effort at the very end of the climb, you just put in a race effort in a race, which is very difficult to replicate. 45 seconds, the difference between McCarthy and Bruni, 54 seconds to Guerra and Colombi. 1 minute 19. I never thought I'd be saying this. 1 minute 19 back is Catherine Fua. 1 minute 22 back is Kristen Kulczynski. And they're the only 6 riders in Category 1 who've gone over the summit. And McCarthy seems to have gone over about a month ago.
Well, Soderstrom and Kolkowitz now coming through and over 7th and 8th on the climb in that Category 1 race. And Dana Wagner setting the fastest time in Category 2.
Yeah, Category 2 race really on fire today. At the moment, we're in with Mary-Kate McCarthy setting the road alight on the climb, now into the descent. And this descent, because it is so undulating, because it is such a technical one, you're not going to be in trouble because you're not going to be able to brake at the right time, etc. But where it's technical, it's about where you put the pace in, where you draft, where you rest. That is the technicality of this descent. How much effort you put in and where, how you use the gradients to your advantage, where they're not going to work with you, how you deal with that is really the technicality of this. All of the categories from Category 4, 3, 2, and 1, all those riders in all those categories have to deal with the same terrain. All of our categories racing the same race distance, 35 kilometres. And it's a tough descent. It's not just a straightforward descent.
And let's just be really clear. From the top of the Heritage Climb on this course today, it's 15.8 kilometres to the finish line. It's a long run.
It is, and the descent down is about 6k of that. It's about 5.8k of that, which leaves you about a 10k run from the end of that descent.
Well, interestingly, now on the left-hand side of your screen, we've got the leaders in the Category 2 race at 25.5 kilometres. On the right-hand side of your screen at 26.2, so I think about 650 metres up the road, actually are the leaders on the road, and that is Category 3 and Category 4, because 2 of those Category 4 riders have been able to stay with that leading group in Category 3 when they got caught. Now, just a reminder, they did get caught towards the very top of the Heritage Climb. They've been able to hang on. They've utilised that opportunity. And in fact, I'm just taking a look. It is indeed Katie Bago and Emma Sonnerson in Category 4 who have been able to hang on, and they are neatly ensconced within that group.
And that is really key. I'm not sure there's not. I think there's Tijeros in there as well. Yeah, so 3 of the Category 4 riders. Great riding. And this is one of the things I really love. Some people moan, and I'm going to call it moaning. I'm going to upset a few people. Some people have moaned in the past that when a faster category catches them, it affects the race. But I call it a moan. Do you know why I call it a moan? Because I think it's an opportunity. I think it's an opportunity to jump on board and ride with a faster group, which will make you quicker. It's the opportunity to use tactics to your advantage. And I think you need to be very aware that when you race with somebody faster, you are just improving. And that is the opportunity to take.
However, there is also the other option of the fact that you try and jump in with the category as they go past you, and actually in the last 5k you pay for it big style.
Quite possibly, and that is the gamble that you take, and that is why I love the fact that we have Category 4 starting first in 3, 2 and 1, because those faster riders catch. There is also the added benefit that, of course, when we get to the finish, we can almost always, not always, but almost always cover all 4 categories, getting over the finishing line and give everybody credit for what are amazing performances in all those races. And every one of our races should have credit for that race.
I agree. I do agree with that. But I also think there are 2 very different forms of motivation as a bike rider. The motivation to stay out front and not be caught. Other riders love the motivation of making a catch. And riders are motivated in very different ways.
Indeed. That's all right.
Oh, it's so exciting, isn't it? Well, anyway, we're back into the racing and in with the leading group of Category 2 riders. So Nelly Larson, Sophie Giovanni and Marie Mauge. Dana Wagner is in there too. This is a leading group of 4. So in Category 1, it's 1 rider out front. In Category 2, it's 4 riders out front. In Category 3, there's still 5 riders out front. And in Category 4, it's 3.
And all these groups have the potential to come together. Category 1, the most fractured of those because of that attack by Mary-Kate McCarthy. Now, just keeping an eye on these riders, Emma. Category 2 racing. We know these are our regular riders up at the front. Great ride by Piccolo to come back into the mix.
Well, it is indeed. And, we talked about riders climbing. We talk about, setting the pace off the front, but also then riding a climb at your own pace and coming strong at the end. And we see that happen in the different categories. And these are the results. Now, one of the other things, before we move on from multiple categories on the race course, I want to mention, because this run into the finish, this final 15 kilometers is majoritively downhill with the bumps at the end. We're in with Anna Svanström here, and you can see her in the group here, just refueling as well, and keeping fuel on board, absolutely key. But one of the things I do want to mention on this run into the finish, because it's majoritively downhill before we hit those rollers at 31.4 kilometers, the likelihood is that the chasing leaders may sweep up riders in another category in a chasing group and bring them back to the leaders. And that is a danger if you're in the front group. Then that's one of the things about how much of a gap do I need to have to stay clear.
But you've got to be able to jump on the leaders, and you can see the pace that Mary-Kate McCarthy had going through. She's down, she's on the flat, 26.6k covered of the 35k course for McCarthy. You can see the response coming from behind.
They can't stay with her.
They're sprinting to try and stay with her, but I think you almost have to pick the pace up a bit like you would do in a Madison Hansling on the track. If you are the rider coming in, you've got to start to pick that pace up before the rider gets there. Otherwise, it's almost impossible. Look at the watts per kilo coming down from Bulawa.
Well, Bulawa is desperately trying to get into McCarthy's draft, but McCarthy is, a world-class rider. She is, going to be at the World Championship Finals on the 26th of October. And she is currently time trialing her way to the finish line here. She's got 8 kilometers to go. She's in time trial mode. She's sitting at 5.5 watts per kilo, well, between 5 and 5.5, and that's her plan. That's what she's going to hold. And if Bulwara can even get on the back, sitting on there and staying on there, she wouldn't be a Category 2 rider if she could hold that pace.
Now, this is going to be really interesting. On our screens, you've got the splits on here. You can see Bulawa sprinting to get onto the wheels of McCarthy. Got the time there. So is Philippa Hill. She's chasing Bulawa. So is Gina De Grazia in that chasing group behind. What's going to be really key here? 25.325 is the time of McCarthy. What time do the chasers behind set? What time can Merle Bruni and co set? They're currently nearly a minute behind. They have lost time on the descent. They've lost time on the run to the finish. This is going to be really, really critical. Now, the front of the race is approaching the 30-kilometer marker, which will leave us with 5 kilometers to go, 5,000 meters. You can see the front of the race: Simkin, Larson, Bryson, Giovanni, Wagner, Johnson, Category 2, 3, and 4 leaders all
together. Now, this is really, really interesting. I'm trying to think of a time when we have had 3 race fields worth of leaders all together, other than on a climb when they're coming past. This is a big, big group. Occasionally we see this type of thing in Australia when we're coming into the run to the finish on the Wollongong course. And we have seen the catches, and that's because there's the climb comes later and then there's a run into the finish. Very similar to this. Now, Dana Wagner, part and parcel of this group, they are about to come in. Well, they've got around 2 kilometers till they come into the rollers. That's when I think we'll see this group split, because the stronger riders will come to the front and use the momentum and the kick on those climbs. But it's really, really interesting. The leaders in Category 2, the leaders in Category 3, and the leaders in Category 4, all at the head of the race.
And the pace of those Category 2 leaders coming through, starting to do some damage to the Category 4 race. We can see one of the riders just going off the back here. 2 of the riders, in fact, now 3. And we're not on to the climb. So although there is an advantage of sitting in the draft, getting those green numbers in, it is not enough at the moment for our Category 4 riders to all hold the pace and hold the wheels. Only, it looks to me like one rider in Category 4 holding on to this group, which is giving them the advantage on the way through. And this is what people, I call it moaning, or some way say having feedback. This is where riders will say, well, this is where it makes it unfair, but you've got to have the pace. It's not an easy task trying to hold on to the back of a motorbike, and that's like a whole bunch of Harley Davidsons coming past on nitrox.
Well, the noise of the motorbikes absolutely revving at the moment, because Guerra Bruni and Columbia all together here on the right-hand side of your screen, but they are 900 metres behind the leader in the Category 1 race. She's on the left-hand side of your screen at the moment, Mary-Kate McCarthy, the rider from New Zealand. And interestingly, there's been a bit of a splash in the news in New Zealand about two of the riders making the World Championship finals in cycling esports, which was fabulous to see. McCarthy really, really strong here, absolutely time trialing her way. Do you know, she has been absolutely bob on her pacing. She's been sat between that 5 and 5.5 watts per kilo now, all the way from that break on the climb. Guerra, Bruni, Columbi. They've picked up Bergin and Sanchez from Category 2. They are clear by 36 seconds of the chase behind, and they are working together now as they come through here. So these three riders are the chase group in Category 1.
So the chase group in Category 1 chasing the leader, but they're also going to be thinking about their positions, and that is going to be absolutely key. Now, into the final climbing segment this goes. This is not a traditional climb. It's not. It starts at the bottom, it finishes at the top. This is a sawtooth profiled rolling undulation that takes the riders into the finish. Now, this rolling undulating section, it actually finishes basically just before we get to our finish line.
It does indeed, but it might be a rolling undulation, but I can tell you these kickers are steep.
Oh, I've ridden these. And I've ridden,
so have I.
I've ridden these, and I've suffered up these. These are not the. I mean, it's when I say it's sawtooth, it's definitely sawtooth. It is steep. It's a steep down each and every time, and that's really going to test the riders. We come in through this section, and then we come into the finish, and the last run to the line. The final selection point is almost the final summit before the finish.
It is indeed. Well,
of these rollers.
Let's just take a little look here, because Hadlock and Montoya in the Category 3 race field are now, well, I was about to say, are now putting in a gap, but Melissa Simkin quickly closing it down. Piccolo and Holweiler a second back now. They really need to get back into contention here, or these three riders are going to go clear, because they are digging deep and trying to stay with the group. And you can see the little split now starting to cause. We've got three riders in Category 3. Off the back here, Isabella Bryson is 3 seconds back now. Holweiler, Piccolo, Vasquez all starting to try and move, because they've not quite got the gap. Well, they've not quite closed the gap to the leading group here. It's 2 seconds to Hadlock and Simkin. And these three riders, Johnson, Piccolo and Holweiler, are on the wrong side of that 2 second gap.
That split has gone. The gap has opened. This is that roller coaster effect. This is having something left in the tank to sprint up, to maybe use that descent down to pick up speed and pace. As you can see, we're making our way in towards the finish. 32.6k into the race here today. We finish at 35k, the front of Category 2. Larson, Wagner, Giovanni and Mon at the moment leading out Category 2. The leaders furthest down the road. Category 1 leader McCarthy, left-hand side of your screen, 31.7k covered. She's only 1 kilometre behind after starting some 15 minutes behind, and you can see the speed that she is moving.
She is absolutely nailing this now. She wants this win today, and she wants this to be a hard race, and she is making this hard for herself. She is absolutely dialing this down today as she just rides past Dana Davidson, the Category 2 rider, as though she was standing still.
Having that pace power, knowing when to kick. I mean, we remember these riders can put out, we can see them put out seriously big numbers. I mean, double digits.
But I'll tell you something, she's established such a gap now on this downhill section in these rollers. She's taking recovery. She just dropped to 1 watt per kilo. So she's kicking on the climb, and now she's taking recovery. She's got the gap. She doesn't need to push all the way through this section.
Yeah, just using these sprint intervals.
Yeah,
doing that training. She's got the gap. She's got potentially the win, barring a major incident on the way into that finish. The finishing line, though, the riders nearest to it, Larson, Giovanni, Montoya, Wagner, Simkin, Mon, Hadlock and Johnson in the mix here. The gaps have really opened up behind this leading group of riders. Next kicker comes in. Next ascent, 7%. Big kick coming in. 6.5 watts per kilo from Giovanni, being answered by Larson, Mon, Hadlock and Wagner, Montoya and Simkin, Holweiler in the mix. This is going to be an absolute grandstand finish. time to get your popcorn. Make sure that you've got your seats. Make sure you're not going to knock it flying when we run into the finishing line, because this is where you need your focus on that finish. Look at the faces of our riders. This is going to be for the win. Who is going to take it? We are going to have 1 kilometre to find out. 1,000 metres coming up. What would be the red kite out on the road? This is it, the finale of qualifier race number 1 on the Sunday Race Club, and we are going to have an absolute banger.
We are indeed, because we've got the leaders in category 2, Wagner, Larson, Giovanni and Morn, and we've got the leaders in category 3, Hadlock, Montoya and Simkin. This is going to be an absolute battle. We've got 700 metres to go.
So 700 metres to go on the way in to the line. It is Dana Wagner, the rider we're in with at the moment. 7 watts per kilo coming out. This is a big kick. This is the end of the climb segment. This is the Alfakir Hills. This will give the final points for the run for polka dot jerseys, but these riders are focused down the road. They're looking at the final finish line. The big banner is going to come into sight now. It's the white banner with the black pillars. This is absolutely key. They've got to be getting the timing right. 3 leaders gone clear. Giovanni, Wagner, Morn.
Well, they are indeed, and Giovanni and Wagner. Morn is there. Wagner opens it up now from the front, so Dana Wagner kicking, but Marine Morn is going at 9 watts per kilo. She's really coming here for this. They're neck and neck along the side. Marine Morn is going to take this from Dana Wagner, I think, unless Wagner's got something else. She kicks again at 10.2, but it's too late. Marine Morn from France takes the win from Dana Wagner with Sophie Giovanni. Angel Hadlock comes through the line ahead of Melissa Simkin and Catherine Montoya in category 3.
So our category 4 and category 3 winners in and over the line. Amazing racing in categories 4 and 3. Category 2 riders are on the way into that finish, if not already in. We've got our category 4 out on the road. They're just in front of Mary Kate McCarthy. This is the category 1 leader. Now you can see the chase for the line is absolutely frantic. Everybody burying themselves across all categories. Katie Bago, I think, is leading category 4 in towards the line, but we're going to have to look at those results on the screen because she's got Jeros with her. McCarthy goes through the climb segment. She's going to surely have the fastest time through that climb segment by some margin. Now, as a category 1 leader comes into that final dip and rise, the race for the line is on. This is Mary Kate McCarthy. How much of a gap will she have when she gets to the finish?
Well, Mary Kate McCarthy has been time trialing her way clear of the category 1 race field. She had a chasing group of 3, but McCarthy has been absolutely the consummate performer today. She has absolutely nailed this course here in Alula. Mary Kate McCarthy is going to take the win today on the Sunday Race Club qualifier race number 1 for October.
So that's your race winner in category 1 coming through. Mary Kate McCarthy with a little kick over the top there, not finishing those intervals. We're going to drop back to this chasing group behind. So Guerra, Bruni, along with Colombi. These are your 3 riders here. Now, Guerra has a great sprint on her.
Well, so does Bruni, and Colombi is strong as well, particularly on the climb. So this is going to be a really interesting run for 2nd, 3rd and 4th in the category 1 race.
And more experience of riding this course and this race finish laying with Colombi and Bruni. Guerra probably the least experience in getting this momentum right, getting this roll right, but all 3 great riders, great racers, and fearsome competitors.
Well, they are indeed. And Merle Bruni is leading this out at the moment as they come through underneath the polka dot banner, signifying 500 metres to go. They're not at the top of the climb yet, but Colombi puts in a big dip. And Guerra, well, she wants to go too. No one is letting anybody in this group get an inch at the moment. They drop down into the descent. They look up into the distance and they can see the finish line. This is all about momentum and timing. Who is going to get this right? Bruni opens up first. Mel well. Bruni has opened up at 7.8 watts per kilo. Guerra has not kicked yet, neither has Columbi. They're leaving this late at the moment as Columbi starts to come, but Guerra is in the middle. Now Guerra opens up. Has she left this too late? Has she got the momentum right? Bruni's ahead of her, but Gabby Guerra is going to get this. Guerra is going to get her timing to perfection here as Guerra takes second place today. Columbi through in third, Bruni through in fourth. Fabulous racing from these three.
Well over 10 watts per kilo being kicked out by Guerra to move through from what was position 4 to position 2 on the road, and at the finish behind, the gaps really have opened up, but fifth position up for grabs.
Well, fifth position, we've got Catherine Fuhr coming towards the line, but behind, just 2 seconds back, is Kristen Kolczynski. This is about timing. This is about who digs, and is Kolczynski going to try and challenge this? But Catherine Fuhr, at the moment, she's clear. She's seen the danger. She's kicked, and Catherine Fuhr is going to come through underneath the banner for 5th place today in the Category 1 winners race. Kolczynski in 6th.
So the riders making the way in to the finish in all of our race categories. So the top 5 riders over the line: McCarthy in 1, Guerra in 2, Columbi in 3, Bruni in 4, and Fuhr in 5. The top 5 in Category 2, Emma.
Well, the top 5 in Category 2, Marie Morge, Donna Wagner, Sophie Giovanni, Nellie Larson, Sarah London, Anna Svardström coming through. In Category 3, Angel Hadlock, Melissa Simpkin, Catherine Montoya, Tanya Holweiler, and Manuela Vasquez. Rebecca Johnson then coming through there. And in Category 4, Katie Bago did indeed take the win from Annalyn Tejeros, Emma Sonerson, Johanna Warren, and Simone Francis rounding out the top 5.
Don't forget, all of the race results are live, unconfirmed and unverified at the moment because they are hitting the screens of the MyWhoosh.com website. And you can go there, hit the menu bar, find race results and find the live race, the women's race, the women's qualifier race number 1 on the Sunday Race Club, providing great excitement. Those results still coming in. They're verified when you get the tick against the side of the results. Do catch up with them there. On the same website, of course, that's how you get onto all of the events. So whether you're going to ride one of the MyWhoosh Classics, one of the new races, the events, and don't forget, of course, you can join the one and only Emma Martin. You've got some training sessions coming up, haven't you?
Tomorrow, you can join me for a recovery spin. We may be focusing on cadence.
And that is going to be accessible. You to get there, you go onto the events, and so you go onto the MyWhoosh page when you open up the app, and you're going to ride.
And you click on live coaching,
and it'll have live coaching, and it'll have Emma's session on there. Lots, and if you don't want to join Emma, you can join lots of others as well. When are you riding, Emma?
Lunchtime Europe tomorrow.
Lunchtime Europe tomorrow. Recovery spin. Maybe if you've been racing the Sunday Race Club, you want to join, and that's open to all of our riders. Do join Emma Martin and myself, Matt Payne, though, for the next race. That is going to be our men's qualifier race number 1 coming up in a moment. After that, quite a busy week. I think, Emma, you're recording another Virtual Velo podcast.
Oh, not till next Saturday.
Oh, that's quite a gap because I'm going to be recording a Crosscast podcast before then.
Oh, it's exciting.
I'm going to get the win in the podcast recording stakes. I'm going to get in first. Don't forget, of course, you can follow Emma at biking_Emma, me at Matt Fixer Payne. Whilst you're online, make sure you hit the subscribe and like button on YouTube. Tell your friends about it, and of course, follow MyWhoosh on social media. It's at MyWhoosh on Instagram, Facebook, at my_Whoosh on X. A massive thank you to our riders for keeping us entertained and providing us with some thrilling action. A massive thank you to the team behind the scenes, to Emma here in the commentary box with me. It's good to have you back. Make the most, don't say that very often. From me, Matt Payne, from Emma Martin. Stay safe. We'll see you again soon.
Goodbye.